So why shouldn't I sentence you to beyond the 2 years? Because that's your agreement. Your agreement is if you don't show up for sentencing, you are subject to the full range of punishment. All right, the court is calling 2019 CR 6812, State of Texas versus Joshua Tremaine Carroll. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Jason Garahan, Your Honor.
For the defense?
Charles Bunk for Mr. Carroll.
And are you Mr. Carroll?
Yeah.
All right. So you entered a plea to paragraph B on September 28, 2022. The court found there was sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court found you guilty. There were no applications. So that was in September of 2022. So why are we just now doing this in February of 2023?
You had allowed him some time to get his affairs in order. He had an unfortunate event which caused him to miss his court date. So they picked him up rather than come to you when he got picked up and asked you to consider a bond and getting him out. We left him in there on purpose to pay his penance. And we're asking you to follow the plea bargain if you would.
All right, according to the plea bargain agreement, punishments be assessed at 2 years in the prison. There's a $500 fine. And it says that both parties agree that if he didn't show up for sentencing, he would be subject to the full range of punishment. So state, are you still proceeding with the plea bargain agreement?
Your Honor, in light of him not showing up, I believe the full range, as it says in the agreement. At this point, we'll defer to the court for the reasoning behind that he didn't show up and if it was a valid reason.
Right.
You want to say what?
You want to call your client as a witness to explain?
Yes,
Could you raise your right hand for me?
raise your hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You can lower your hand, state your name for the record. State your name for the record. All right, why didn't you show up for court?
Because I have some problems.
We all have problems, but you're not telling me what your problems were.
Well, first of all, my daughter had her baby, but I came up with I was sick soon, so my corona.
Everybody used coronavirus as an excuse, but did you provide any medical documentation that you had that?
Yeah, I do. I have that.
No. Did you provide any medical documentation to the court that you were ill?
I think I did. I should have. Do you have any?
I do not. Not for the date you're addressing, Judge.
Yes. So you did not, because if you would have, I would have that, and I don't have it.
So you don't have any paperwork at all?
I don't have anything to show that you were ill, and that's the reason why you didn't show up for your sentencing. I do have that I was lenient with you to allow you to get your affairs in order and to come back on a different date for sentencing. That's what I have. So why shouldn't I sentence you to beyond the 2 years? Because that's your agreement. Your agreement is if you don't show up for sentencing, you are subject to the full range of punishment. So my question to you is, why shouldn't I sentence you to 20 years?
Say that again.
Your agreement was that if you did not show up for your sentencing date, that your range of punishment will be up to 20 years in prison. You did not show up. So the question is, why shouldn't I send you to prison for 20 years?
I'm most definitely not understand that one.
No, you did, because it's a part of your plea bargaining agreement. And what I can tell you, and I'm sure your counsel will tell you this, and even though this is a new prosecutor to this court, I go over the plea bargaining agreement in great detail and ask on the record, do you understand that to be the plea bargaining agreement? And usually, well, not usually, every time I ask the defendant first, do you understand that to be the plea bargaining agreement? And they will say yes. Then I will either ask the state of the defense attorney, is that the plea bargaining agreement? And I can tell you that you were aware that you were subject to the entire range of punishment. So we're back to this. Why shouldn't I sentence you to 20 years? Because that was your bargain, that if you didn't show up for court, that you will be subject to the full range of punishment. And I remember all of the people who say, give me some extra time and I will show up.
What was wrong with your daughter?
Yeah, I mean. She have a baby next month. Or whatever, you know what I mean, but. I don't think.
What do you mean she has her baby next month? You told me she already had the baby.
No, she went in the hospital, she was sick, I thought that she wasn't gonna even, that she was gonna lose the baby or whatever, you know what I mean?
And when did this happen?
Like last month,
All right, so that happened last month, so that would have been January. So that still doesn't explain why you didn't show up for your sentencing on November. You were set for sentencing on November 3rd. Here's the thing, sometimes people don't have an excuse. Sometimes it's like, I made a bad decision. I was enjoying my free life out here and I just didn't show up. So I'm trying to figure out, is that your case or is there something else that was going on in your life? Because you're looking at 20 years in prison.
That he doesn't have an excuse that we want to offer at this time. He does. I mean, I agree with the court. You did admonish him. He understood that. I'm concerned. I mean, as we stand here today, he's not near as cognizant of I've dealt with as he's been in the past. I'm somewhat concerned about that, but I mean, he's not a man of means. When that November date came, his phone was cut off. We were not able to locate him. I mean, he didn't. I mean, I know I spoke to him after that when his daughter was sick. But we'd ask you not to sentence him to 20 years. We don't think that's, we hope that that's not what the court decides to do. But if the court decides, we ask the court to follow the plea bargain and perhaps give him 3 years to, have an indicator that the court takes this seriously. And
All right, state.
In lieu of the explanation of the judge, the state, with previous negotiations that we have in our file, we believe the appropriate sentence would be 5 years.
All right, this is what the court is going to do. The court will sentence you to 4 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served, take in consideration 2021 CR 2207, 2021 CR 1465, 2021 CR 2771. The court will give you credit for any time served. There's a $500 fine, time and money will run concurrent. I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it? All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to your attorney. Do you understand? We can go off the record. Mr. Carroll, I always, when attorneys say, can you give my client some extra time to report? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I take it very seriously when I give someone time to report. Because when you think about it, somebody's saying, all right, I'm going to show up and I'm going to take my prison sentence. You didn't show up. And that's a problem. And if there would have been a good explanation, things may have turned out differently.
I don't even remember even.
All right, so you can have them have a seat. They're supposed to impact. There's not?
No,
All right, thank you.
Judge, sorry, we're just going to go ahead and surpass that because
Court is going to call 2021 CR 7768, State of Texas versus Wendy Gray Rothbard. Do I have the parties announced for the record for the state?
Debbie Cruz on behalf of the state.
Defense.
Eric Hernandez for the defendant, Wendy Bradford.
And are you Ms. Rothbard? Rothbard. Okay, thank you. Mr. Coates, are you able to, Deputy, can you? No. You can just move him down to that end.
And Judge Daniel Escobar for the state to begin.
Right. Counsel, you received all the discovery in this case, and did you review it with your client?
I have, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Ms. Rathburn, I'm showing you what's entitled Application for Community Supervision. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, I'm showing you what's entitled True Bill of Indictment. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
We waive, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Judge, we're proceeding on count one and waiving count two.
Any objection?
None whatsoever.
Ms. Rathburn, I'm showing you what's entitled Court Admonishments and Defendants Waivers and Affidavit of Admonitions. Did you review those documents with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you're charged with harassment of a public servant as a third-degree felony? The range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargaining agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your agreement. If for any reason the court does not follow your agreement and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargaining agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
She has, Your Honor.
Do you believe she has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against her?
I do believe so, Your
Do
Honor.
you believe she's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
In my opinion, yes to both.
Ms. Rathburn, has any get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived her right to jury trial. Showing you the plea bargain page, did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, the state is proceeding on count one. They're asking that your punishment be assessed at 2 years in the prison. There's a $1,500 fine. The state recommends community supervision, and they're asking for a mental health evaluation. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense is at the plea.
It is, Your Honor.
State is at the plea.
Yes, Your Honor.
Showing you the paragraph entitled waiver of appeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
None, Your Honor.
Next, I'm showing you outside the plea. State is requesting that your community supervision be for a term of 3 years. There'll be a TAP evaluation, 120 hours of community service restitution. Did you understand those are recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, ma'am.
Then to count one in the indictment, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State any evidence.
State offer states to the one and all happenings.
No objections.
Ms. Rathburn, I'm showing you what's entitled waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, sign it in all the appropriate places.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there'll be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are we proceeding with sentencing?
She was, Your Honor, and if I just speak to the court about the fine in her residence.
All right, well, the fine, the court will probate that. So with regards to residents, what's,
Ms. Rathburn is currently living in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's where she was picked up on this warrant and extracted back to Bear County. So we'd be asking if she'd be allowed to report to probation from Nevada or that her probation be transferred to Nevada.
all right, what county is that?
Clark,
Clark County.
Okay. Who are you living with there?
my boyfriend and I,
Who's this boyfriend?
we've been together 3 years. And Ralph, we don't-
Okay.
And
Do
I
you have
just-
any children?
I have 2 children, one 22 and one 11.
Where's the 11-year-old?
I'm not divorced yet, living with my husband in San Antonio.
Okay, so the 11-year-old is in San Antonio with your husband.
Right. But we've been legally separated for quite some time.
Okay. Yes,
And Your Honor, I did speak to Mr. William, her paramour this morning, and he did confirm the address.
all right. I always find that people on the civil side always call them paramours. Is that just something we like to say?
That's the preferred term, I think, in family court, when there's somebody who's living with a
Yes.
partner but still married.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, they use it for everything. I never see boyfriend. It's always paramour. It doesn't have a nice ring to it, I always thought. But that's just me. So, are you employed?
No, man, I live off disability.
All right, what's your disability for?
Mental illness.
All right, so are you seeing someone in Las Vegas for your mental health issues?
Yes, ma'am. I have a primary care position, but I'm on the waiting list to get to behavioral. But since I've been in jail, I've been back on my Prozac and it's helping a lot.
All right, so how's she going to get to Las Vegas?
I believe Mr. Wiggum is currently here because he was inquiring about when she would be released.
All right, where is Mr. Williams?
He's at grandma's house, but
Oh, so he's not in the courtroom.
no, he's not.
Okay. Probation, what are we gonna do about this transfer? How long will that take? All right, I'll give her permission to travel to Las Vegas. Any objection from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so this is what the court is gonna do. The court is finding you guilty. Court will give you permission to travel to Las Vegas. While in Las Vegas, there's to be weekly reporting to probation by Zoom until transferred. And I'm gonna request a transfer to Las Vegas. The only reason why I'm letting you transfer there, based upon what your attorney is telling me, it appears that you're receiving treatment there and you're stabilized there. It's to be continued. Who is your caregiver out there?
I don't have.
What's your doctor? Well, what's the doctor's name?
Oh, DB Omar, it's the primary care physician. And I was getting transferred to mental health solutions.
All right,
So I
so,
can prove all that, once I'm back home. I just don't have any of this stuff here.
there's to be continued treatment with the primary care physician. I want a MIC evaluation that can be done out of custody. And you're to provide probation with documentation of your the person who's providing you mental health treatment.
Okay.
And in Nevada. Off the record for a moment. Caroline, I'm sending you the signed documents on Mr. Chrisman. And Mr. Chrisman, I'm going to put you back in a breakout room so that, Caroline, do you prefer to do it through a breakout room or do you?
Yeah, I can go in the back.
All right, I'm going to send you to breakout room number 2, Mr. Chrisman, and they'll go over your paperwork with you. Back on the record. So we're going to do a MIC evaluation out of custody. I want a TAP evaluation also out of custody. And there is a $1,500 fine prorated. Sentence you to 2 years in prison, suspended and probated for 3 years. 120 hours of community service restitution. Proof of SSI or employment within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. There's to be no unsupervised contact with minors. And what is your boyfriend's name?
Raphael Wiggum.
All right, and Raphael Wiggum. Probation, if she's having visitation with her 11-year-old, he cannot be listed as a chaperone for that. And 40 hours of the community service hours will be waived if she provides proof of the COVID vaccination. The court is not requiring it, but if you do, then 40 of those hours will be waived. Probation, is there anything else she needs?
No, Your Honor.
Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful?
No, ma'am.
All right. Did you sign a document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. Ms. Rathburn, nobody likes to be spit on. So I know you were probably having a mental health episode, but that just cannot be done, okay? All right, you need to continue to follow through with your medical appointments, all right?
Yes, ma'am. And I did get the second COVID shot while I was.
All right, thank you. Have a good one. Court is calling 2022 CR 9440, State of Texas versus Richard Ruiz. Could our parties announce for the record for the state
Debbie Cruz on behalf of the state, Your Honor.
defense?
Howdy, Joe Stenberg representing Richard Lee.
Are you Mr. Ruiz?
Yes.
Counsel, you received all the discovery. Did you review it with your client?
Yes,
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Ruiz, I'm showing you what's entitled application for community supervision. Did you review it with your attorney? Did you understand it?
yes,
Next, I'm showing you what's entitled true bill of indictment. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
yes,
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
I do.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
We are, Your Honor.
No, I think you're proceeding on it as a state jail felony.
Yes. That's-
My apologies, Your Honor. We are proceeding on a lesser included.
All right. Did you, any objection?
No.
All right, Mr. Ruiz, I'm showing you what's entitled court admonishments. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes,
Did you understand the state is proceeding on the lesser included offense of possession of a controlled substance penalty group 1 less than 1 gram? That's a state jail felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to $10,000 fine. Did you understand? If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court doesn't follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
yes,
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
yes,
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
yes, I do.
Did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case? Did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea bargain agreement in this case? Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, Your Honor,
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
I do, Your Honor.
You believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ruiz, has anyone threatened you, forced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea? Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea? Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented? Are you a U.S. citizen? Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial, showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? According to the plea, state is proceeding on the less included offense. Controlled substance penalty group 1 less than 1 gram. They're asking that your punishment be assessed at 2 years in the state jail facility. There's a $500 fine, which there's no agreement to. There's no application for deferred adjudication. State recommends community supervision. They're taking in consideration County Court 5690113, and there's $57 for drug testing. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes,
Defense,
yes,
state,
Yes, Your
showing you the paragraph entitled waiver of appeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places? Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
yes,
Counsel, are there any such motions?
there were. Sorry, what was the question?
Have there been any such motions?
No,
Next, I'm showing you outside the plea bargain agreement, the state is asking that your community supervision be for a term of 2 years. There be a TAP evaluation, 100 hours community service restitution, and no contact with 417 Evergreen or Chris Curzon, Kurzon. Did you understand those are recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations? Then to the lesser included offense, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
criminal trespass. plead guilty.
No. This case that we're here for now. How do you plea on this case?
Oh, no.
State any evidence to support the defendant's plea.
At this time, the state introduces state's exhibit number 1 and all of its attachments.
Any objections?
No objection.
All right, state, you may be excused to confer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Showing you what's entitled waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulation to review that document with your attorney. Did you understand it? It's decided in all the appropriate places. Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you, as an attorney, to cross-examine? Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony. Did you understand? Voluntarily waiving consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments. The court has reviewed the same. The court will find there is sufficient evidence to find the defendant guilty, and the court will find the defendant guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, we waive the PSI.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Yes, and he apologizes to the court, the community. He just wants to get back to work.
All right, Mr. Ruiz, why are you at this location and the person has told you they no longer want you there?
I was actually working on this house in mind, but we were in the process of selling the house where I lived at. So I was staying there, he didn't stay there.
Well, when you say so at somebody else's house and they want you to leave, you need to leave.
Right.
So where are you going to be living?
Hey, I'm not at 515 East Evergreen, the house that is being sold.
Well, how are you going to live at a house that's being sold?
No, it's my mother's house.
All right, so are,
My maintenance, well, it's my maintenance next door. I was paying over there because it was in the process. My aunt had power of attorney, so I had
how old are you?
60
All right, who's at this house that you're going to be staying at?
myself and
How old is your son?
33.
All right, do they want you there?
My son's fine, they're fine. It's just my aunt's in the process of selling the house.
So it doesn't sound like that's going to be stable. So if that house is sold,
If anything, I talked to the people from the scanner show that they said they would help me. Same.
Same.
okay. All right, it's probably best that you look into that sooner rather than later. You understand?
Yes.
All right, so how long, when's the last time you had employment?
I'm working. I wasn't employed for a community.
That
All right.
was the reason he missed his last
Yeah.
court appearance. Was that-
Well, no, I mean, he missed his court appearance on November. He was a no-show. And we waited for him to 1:05 PM. Then on March 2nd, he was a no-show and we waited for him to 3:05
I
PM.
was in the wrong, I was in the wrong court. I was here, but I was in the wrong. court.
Until 3 PM, you're in the wrong court.
I didn't know I had, because I was sitting to go to court.
No, but what you're telling the court, which is an unbelievable story, is you were in the wrong
They
court
rescheduled the court date.
till 3 PM.
No, they rescheduled it for another day.
That was the November case. He was in the wrong court.
Until 1:05 PM. Okay, all right, proof of employment. Within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home healthcare provider or with minors. And as previously stated, 2 years in the state jail facility, suspended and probated for 2 years, $500 fine, probated. No employment with home healthcare, as a home healthcare provider or with minors. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Regular UAs. There's to be no contact with 417 Evergreen or Chris Perzong. And you're gonna have to find another place to live.
I haven't even been here in.
No, what I'm saying is you're gonna have to find another place to live than at your mother's place on Evergreen, because this person doesn't want to see you, okay? So there's to be no housing, no residence on Evergreen probation. How often are you using drugs and what are you
I
using?
don't drink, I don't, the only thing I do is smoke cigarettes.
Well, you're here for a possession less than a grant case.
Yes. At the time I did use it.
All right, so at the time when you were using, how often were you using?
Oh, I did, when I had it, whenever I felt like it. I'm not a big time drug user.
Well, one time is a big time usually. All right, sober meetings, 90 meetings in 90 days.
What type of meeting?
Sober meetings, AANA. There's to be a TAP evaluation. And that can be out of custody and probation. Whatever the TAP evaluation says, it'll be supportive outpatient. I'm gonna want field visits one time per month until further notice. And probation, you can count those field visits as visitation if you want to. 100 hours of community service restitution, 40 of those hours will be waived if you provide proof of the COVID vaccination. The court is not requiring you to get the COVID vaccination, but if you do, 40 of those hours will be waived. Probation, is there anything else he needs? Once per month, and that can be, and that's until further notice. And probation can count that as his reporting if probation chooses. Anything else you need from the court?
But that is all.
All right, I'm showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Yes, I did.
All right, because this is a plea bargaining agreement, because I followed your plea bargaining agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, I did.
And because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, I did.
All right, we can go off the record. You're in your 60s,
Yes, ma'am.
which means you have more of your, you definitely have more of your life behind you than in front of you. So if you continue this way, it's not going to go good for you. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you. All right, state, are you, I'm sorry, probation, are you requesting ISF? Because they're saying there are issues with you with alcohol issues. But then I have in the notation from probation that they said that the new misdemeanor case he has, they were going to allow misdemeanor court to handle that.
Yes, Judge, and being that it's a pending case, I advised Mr. Rocha not to talk about it, but we did talk, and I have a synopsis for the court that I can give to you if you're interested.
Okay, yes.
I'm not sure if he still is, but at the time he was living in a men's home. He came in from work late, went to McDonald's, and his cell phone went off, which is a violation of their rules. It can't be on at a certain hour. The bunk mate or dorm mate that is an employee / resident took issue with that. They got into a verbal altercation. He was asked to leave, but he is insulin dependent diabetic and he did not have access to his medications if he left immediately. So
All right, just one moment. Probation, if you can come up, and everyone please whisper.
Your Honor, based on the court summary, they are asking for Bear County ISF. He has completed the bid, the TAP, IOP. He has fees and community service hours remaining. We don't have a current year analysis on file for him.
All right, Mr. Rocha, if you drug tested today, what are the results going to be?
It's probably gonna be positive because I did drink that glass and a half of wine with my field.
Okay, well, here's the thing. You know you're on probation. How old are you? All right, you're 52. You know you're not supposed to be drinking alcohol. And why are you drinking alcohol when you have insulin issues as well?
I was trying to get some sleep and I got this boil and pain. I did do that, so I actually went to, you know,
Everyone, please whisper. So your issue for your sleep issues is, oh, wow, let me mix my insulin with alcohol. Nothing can go wrong with this. And it's clear that you have an alcohol problem. And why are you homeless? What's going on?
Became homeless with COVID. I couldn't get back to working at this. I did take care of his mother. She got COVID. And my dad, he's got so he could. So I had to get out of COVID hit right after that. So I did that with finances and balance. And we ended up being split up. So because you went back to
All right.
So I guess I was homeless after that. I was hard to get jobs.
If I may, Judge, we had this very discussion in the back, Your Honor. I advised Mr. Roach to be honest with the court. I feel like honesty is the best policy in this situation. We also discussed that his probation to date has included no form of treatment at all to include outpatient treatment. So I think he'd be very willing to try some form of treatment, but I do think that ISF is an escalation of his terms and conditions of probation without trying other things first, Judge, as far as the modality of treatment goes.
Okay. And I'm not the one who placed him on probation. Another judge placed him on probation. Yes.
It does appear that he did complete intensive outpatient treatment.
Whether that was geared towards alcohol or not, Judge.
All right. And I see it was Judge Harlow placed him on probation. All right. This is, are you still at Haven for Hope?
No, I was told I could come back to the courthouse. I did have to be back in the trouble.
All right, we're going to go on the record. Court is calling 2019 CR 533, State of Texas versus Mark Anthony Rocha. Could I have parties announced for the record?
Bill Brooks for Mr. Roach, Judge.
All right. And state?
Brittany Mitchell for this.
All right, thank you. And the court received a violation report. Defense, have you had a chance to review the violation report?
I did review the allegations with him, Judge.
All right. So we've had a discussion off the record. Mr. Rocha is testing positive for alcohol, which is a no-no. You're not allowed to drink alcohol while you're on probation at all. It doesn't matter if you're at your house or wherever you may be. Probation, is there anything you wish to add?
Your Honor, he's been compliant and completing his classes, intensive outpatient treatment previously. There are several negative test results on file for him. However, there are also several failure to submit.
And how often is he being asked to submit?
At this point, the last indication he was asked was in February 15, 2023.
All right. And Mr. Rocha, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record. All right, off the record, you told the court that you would be positive for alcohol today. All right. Is there anything else you're doing other than alcohol?
Looking for jobs, trying to work as hard as I can.
No, I mean drug issues.
No.
All right, so do not come back to the court because you're using CBD oil or any other products, you understand? So you're not allowed to drink alcohol on probation, you understand?
Yes,
And you understand with the fact that you're taking insulin, that's not a good mixture for you anyway?
yeah.
All right, so this is what the court is going to do, because we have to address your positive UA. We have to address the fact that you failed to submit UAs. You must submit to UAs in this court, you understand? So I'm going to order 90 meetings in 90 days. And how often did you say you were testing him or he was being tested?
Typically, at this point, Your Honor, it should be monthly. The last requested date was February 15.
You're going to do UAs weekly. for 2 months. And we'll see how that goes. Do not miss. If you miss, what's going to end up happening is a motion to revoke is going to be filed. Part of me giving you 2 months weekly, part of it is a punishment because you haven't been testing. The other part of it is I'm trying to help you with your alcohol issues. You understand? And do we have we have the TAP evaluation you said that was done in 2 weeks? I mean, that was done 2 weeks ago or so?
That's it, I mean, this one is-
Yeah, you said, I think you said 2 weeks.
I do have to be done.
Okay, so we need to do a new TAP? All right, I'm gonna order a TAP evaluation. And if the TAP evaluation recommends inpatient treatment, we're gonna start with intensive outpatient treatment. And also do a referral to felony drug court. I know it is offenses, but you all still go on a case-by-case basis.
Yes, Judge.
So we'll do a referral to felony drug court. He is not to be employed as a home healthcare provider or anything with minors. And I'm going to want, you say you're staying at a bunkhouse? Probation, I'm gonna want field visits. One time per month until further notice. Probation, is there anything else he needs? Mr. Roach, is there anything else you need from the court?
Judge, he is not back in bunkhouse. Is that the name of it? Yes. He is not back in bunkhouse. He needs to get paid for it for.
Yeah, I forget.
All right, so you need to provide the information to probation where you're going to be staying, and that needs to be done no later. Probation, he's going to provide you information where he's staying, and that needs to be done no later than March 23rd. All right, is there anything else you need from the court? Probation, is there anything else he needs? All right, thank you, Mr. Rocha. You need to do better.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.